from Nuts elementary school and preschool to her high school and to college. I've done much debunking, but it's all quite fragmented and in a lot of places over time. And so I'm just going to do a quick video, just a mishmash of some things that I've put up that you can have a look at and listen to and watch at the moment. So let's start off by my short videos. Which are great little tidbits. This is university.
Poor Nut is so inept intellectually that she debunks her own lies about her university graduation. It was meant to be 2003 as the narrative goes, but she states in this interview that she graduated in 2007, 5 years before the interview in 2012. Take a look.
What were you doing 5 years ago?
Me personally?
Personally, what were you doing professionally?
Oh gosh, about 5 years ago, I had just started acting. I had double majored at Northwestern, Theater and International Relations, and I always thought I'd work in politics. I've been working for the U.S. Embassy in Argentina, and I had just ended up at a party, actually very close to here, when a friend of mine gave a student film that I had done to a manager, and he said, "You're going to make money, and I want to take 10%. I think you should stay in LA." And I did, and so that was really, like 5-6 years ago, I was auditioning. So, I'm so thrilled.
Poor Nut is so...
Okay, so there's that. Next one, I think, is to do with the elementary school of Hollywood Schoolhouse.
More fraud, but this time it's Hollywood Schoolhouse's turn. Teacher Elise Faye supposedly was teaching Nut up until she was 13. When she graduated, supposedly she was 13 in 1993, which would be June. So that would make her date of birth, her birth year, 1979. And, she talks about what a great woman, girl she was, etc. The usual narrative. But Elise Faye joined Hollywood Schoolhouse and started teaching there in 1993. So it can't happen. It's not possible. And yet this woman is in an article stating that she taught Megan all these years up until she was 13 in 1993.
Okay. High school.
Here on the stage in the school auditorium where her talent as an actress began to bloom.
She was the star at Damn Yankees, and she was very good, and I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, this girl has talent.
Here on the stage in the school auditorium.
That was in terms of the production was actually at a boys' school. I don't know why that teacher is claiming that that was at the girls' school. Okay.
Maria Polia was Markle's theology teacher. She talked about Markle wanting to volunteer at a soup kitchen in downtown LA Skid Row and the advice she offered to help Markle overcome her fear of volunteering in a dangerous neighborhood.
You need to simply put the needs of others above your own fears. And Megan says that she's remembered that conversation ever since.
Markle ended up volunteering on Skid Row for years.
So Polia makes no mention of the Skid Row story initially.
And I was thinking about this moment when I was a sophomore in high school.
So it's changed now from changed to sophomore year at 15 years old instead of 16 years old now, 1996 to 1997.
I was 15, and as you know, sophomore year is the year that we do volunteer work, which is a prerequisite for graduating. And I remember my teacher at the time, one of my teachers, Miss Palia, said to me,
So we have to go down all the time. Second part. So then it changed to 8th grade at 15 years old, 1994 to 1995. Palia wasn't teaching at the school 1994 to 1995. She started in 1997. So this is all the changes that have been made to this story. Initial recollection did not include Skid Row. Nat said it happened in 8th grade. She then said it was junior year with Palia. Now adding to her recollection. Yeah. Etc. etc. You can have a look. Let's have a look. Shorts. I'll just see if there's anything left of mine. Oh, back. Oh, we can get to Northwestern University very, very shortly. I think that's about it for now. Let me look into the videos. So we're going to go here to my part 1.
Hi everyone, this is Laura Poirot, and I am doing a video for the first time on not going to university or going to school. And I'm here to debunk a lot of things that have been said.
Now, the first part just goes through her driving.
Is a lot more to debunk.
Basically debunking what Bauer has said about her being able to drive in 1999 when she was 18. That it proves she was actually older because it was actually in spring 1999, and she was 18 years old. Yeah. Well, let's have a look here. I'm going to move forward. Yeah. Also, the fact that the banking awards, there was a photo on her fridge in a clip when she was driving around with her friend in spring of 1999 at 18, and she was just meant to have be graduating high school. That there was already a photo of the banking awards that had already been completed, which doesn't make any sense. Now let's go to the university enrollment. That the only evidence that you've got of her enlisted in the school and I think graduation. So let's just have a look.
And starting of graduating. At this point, from what we've been provided online and what I've seen on Twitter, is a link to an archive of the commencement for 2003 at Northwestern University. And people have just literally confirmed this as proof. And it's been very odd because the timing of the upload in 2014 is very suspicious. And then I find that the guy who uploaded the document has a very unique name. Jai, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but I looked his name up and he's registered and he has active businesses in Australia and lives in Australia. So, and has lived across many states in Australia. So it's a very suspicious situation that I do question heavily. So then I looked into this document, and when I search for, let's say, Lindsay Jill Roth, which is Megan's best friend who graduated alongside her supposedly in 2003, if I search for her full name, I can find her, you know, through the search engine within the archive. I can then find her on page, I think, 22 and another page where she's earned some a high GPA or honours. But if I do the same for Rachel Meghan Markle, which is the full name listed on the commencement guide, no name comes up at all. So that's another thing. The same goes for the Northwestern search engine. So I went to the Northwestern University website and I looked into their articles. I can find articles at the time of their studies for Nut's best friends, Genevieve Hillis and Lindsay Jill Roth, but I cannot find any articles whatsoever on Nut during her studies, except for the big PR fluff of her studying there and how she's famous now with suits and being a royal. That's all you will ever find on the university website, and also their Facebook pages. That is really all you're going to find, which is a bit concerning considering on Nut's CV she was involved in 2 videos. I think one's Prom Inc. and another one that she's got listed. And we can't find any of those videos or recordings. So information has been suppressed. Let's just say that. So those videos have vanished. By the way, Genevieve Hillis graduated in 2004, not in 2003, and not in the same, I think the same school, the School of Science, but not in communications. She studied and completed education and social policy. Lindsay, on the other hand, did graduate in 2003, the same year supposedly as Nut, but she graduated with honours, with a high GPA of cum laude. I think that's how you pronounce it. But she miraculously didn't graduate with Nut. If you can see here in the photo, you can see that she's wearing normal clothing and Nut has a full graduation gown, which makes you really wonder, where is this? Which university is this? And what year is this? So let's go from there. Her graduation photos or her photos at university, even with Kappa Kappa Gamma, are strange because they list her and recognise her as Meghan Markle, but her commencement guide says her full name, Rachel Meghan Markle, and so you would only be recognised and acknowledged by your full name, as you know, as is everyone as a university student. You don't get to pick and choose. So that's another odd one. So we seem to have, at the moment, a shoddy commencement guide and graduation. Sorry, I've literally got a book of notes, so we're just going to go through it. But let's bear this in mind, that this is what we've been told as fact. And this has been sworn by testimonials all over, attesting that Nut was at the university and did all these miraculous things and is a living saint. So it's very, very suspicious.
All right, I'll move on to part 2.
I did after that was actually, when I realized through the search engines and that commencement guy that something was very, very strange, was going through to the testimonials that were proving that she, first of all, went to Northwestern University or was studying there, especially in her last year, and then through to some programs. So the first one we've got here is Harvey Young, professor at the time, Professor Harvey Young. And he was a professor and chair of theatre at Northwestern. And in all of his media interviews and his articles, Harvey likes to tell us over and over again that Nut was 21 years old, that it was 2003, it was her last semester studying there, so that would have been the semester ending in May 2003. Was a professor and chair of theatre at Northwestern. And in all of his media interviews and his articles, Harvey likes to tell us over and over again that Nut was 21 years old, that it was 2003, it was her last semester studying there, so that would have been the semester ending in May 2003. And he taught her for a 10-week program in Black Performance Studies. Now, I don't know if you know Northwestern, but they actually have a course, like a major in performance studies, and it's separate from theatre. So
the world's arguably most famous couple, the media scrutiny is only getting more intense. And I want to bring in now Harvey Young, a dean at Boston University, a CNN contributor on the Royal Wedding as well. And he joins us now. So thank you so much for joining us here in the program. And first I want to go back to your thoughts on Meghan Markle, because in 2003, you were her professor at Northwestern University for a class on contemporary African.
Look how convincing this twat is with a Canadian accent.
American theater. What are your memories of her during that time?
Yes, so I taught Megan back in 2003. She was a student in my very small 8-person seminar. We sat in a circle and we talked about contemporary Black theater. And I just remember Megan being a person who would walk in full of life. She was a senior who was clearly sort of juggling lots of really exciting things, sorority life. She was double majoring in theater, also international relations. And, we just had great, deep conversations, and I came to sort of respect her insight, her intelligence, her presence.
Meghan Markle, she is a biracial. Did she discuss greater issues?
Great, deep conversations, and I came to sort of respect her insight, her intelligence, her presence.
So just look at his body language. Whenever he's talking, he's shaking his head no. That's just like another way of analyzing information when people are lying. With these testimonials, if you have it in footage, are lying, it's easy to spot because they just shake their heads no when they're literally trying to state objective fact.
Meghan Markle, she is a biracial actress. Did she discuss greater issues about, race and identity with you, and how?
Yeah, absolutely. So the class itself was about experiences of race as reflected within theater. So every week across 10 weeks, we read play after play, article after article, talking about race with the United States. And those conversations built upon one another. And as an extension of those conversations, what we did was we would reflect upon our own personal experiences. So both within class and outside of class, in office hours, Megan would talk about what it meant to be biracial, what it meant to be a person who could on the one hand, navigate certain rooms, have access to plenty of different spaces and communities, but at the same time to often be misread, to have some part of herself be critiqued, and subject to the aired biases and prejudices of others. And I remember talking with her and realizing the toll that was taking.
Do you know what's crazy? I don't know if you know this, but Hollywood Schoolhouse, formerly known as Little Red Schoolhouse, was actually was created in 1945 as a preschool, because the principal and owner, Ruth Pease, was actually a daughter of deaf parents, and she was ostracized, and she had a really hard time growing up, and she didn't want any child from a diverse background to feel that way. So she brought in almost everyone that came from unconventional family backgrounds, and especially immigrants. And she housed them. I think the first baby, if you go back to all of the footage about Little Red Schoolhouse and the history of it, she talks about the first student or baby that she took care of, because it was really just like a babysitting nanny service to start off with, was a little Chinese baby. And even if that's narrative, that was why she created Little Red Schoolhouse in the first place. She was basically mothering and taking care of children that she was trying to protect them from being ostracized. So imagine a 2-year-old, if that was to ever happen, a 2-year-old or 3-year-old or 5-year-old developing their brains and their conditioning and their belief system, starting in that sort of school system, that sort of environment where you're not ostracized for anything. It's an open, welcoming, warm, loving, open, inviting environment where you're not ostracized whatsoever. So your trust would not have been broken. And that's usually the time in that childhood, that's around the time that you develop disorders, behavioral disorders, and like narcissism. Narcissism is usually around 2 years old, and it's to do with deprivation and neglect of a parent. And so initially I thought that was the case with Nut, that she was a narcissist because she'd been broken in by the divorce of her parents, if you were to go with the narrative. But regarding her actual upbringing, it's completely the opposite to what's happening here, and there was no issue of race whatsoever. She has a white father, she has a black mother, she has a white and black family, joined family. That was never an issue. Then she comes from privilege, and she's going to these privileged schools from the get-go, so there's no class bias. And on top of it, there's no race bias because everyone's culturally diverse. If you look in all of her class photos, there are mixed race children, and the whole school is based on it. So this would not happen. This is a narrative. This is an intelligence operation made to look like it's genuine, and this guy is a plant and he's following narrative. And very, very early on too, before anyone caught on that this was absolute bullshit.
She discussed issues like race and identity with you. What about politics and activism? We know that she's also an activist. Did come through, inside or outside the classroom during your days at Northwestern?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Megan was a double major. So like I said, she was a major in theater and also...
Wait, I'm just going to rewind that again because you can see the shaking of the hand when he says absolutely. Nodding no.
Bases and communities, but biases and prejudices of others. And I remember talking
through, inside or outside the classroom during your days at Northwestern?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Megan was a double major. So like I said, she was a major in theater and also in international relations. And the international relations part of her major meant that she was engaged in the study of international politics, being aware of the impact of humanitarian crises. She was a person who had her sense of had her sense of the pulse of the world, rather. And it was those two things: how the arts can actually reflect society, how society can actually be expressed through the arts, which became passions for her. And that's a commitment that you can see to this present day, right? Whether it's her standing before the United Nations or her using this current platform, the royal family, to talk about social issues. That's a through line that, I saw back when she was 21 at Northwestern.
He's just incorporated the strategy he's been given, the script he's been given. He's just incorporated that with the royal family and discussing social issues and social causes. And you can still see that playing out in Colombia, in any of her new royal tours or non-working royal tours, wink, wink. You can see all of this still playing out to this day. He has helped build this narrative from the get-go.
Yeah, I absolutely love hearing this background, this complete picture that we're getting of Meghan Markle. And of course, the world knows of her as this woman who is in love, set to marry a partner who also shares her passion for activism. What do you think Meghan is going to be able?
That is just so shallow and so pathetic.
To accomplish next after the royal wedding?
Well, Meghan, when she was 21, I remember sitting across from her, and she was outspoken and impassioned about the need for women's rights, women's equality, pay equity. She was a person who wanted to talk about the experiences of race and biraciality and mixedness. And those are conversations she's sort of maintained as the platforms have gotten bigger and bigger, the spotlight's brighter and brighter. And with this current position within the royal family, I can see her using that platform, using that super bright spotlight to cast her attention, full on the need for women's rights, on pay equality.
AKA global policy change.
On having conversations that are open and honest about race within the United States, within the world at large. So I see her today. I see a glimpse of her in the past and her today, if that makes any sense. So I'm not surprised that, she's going to be as outspoken as she was when she was 21, sitting across from me in that class.
Yeah. Harvey,
when Harvey, repeatedly tells us that she was 21 and it was 2003, he tries to talk about over a 10-week period that just throughout 10 weeks of knowing Nut and talking to her once or twice, in a private situation, he knew that she was going to be politically inclined or, talented in that way, and have political and humanitarian aspirations, which is just like absolutely crazy, right? Another miracle is he leaves Northwestern just before, all these testimonials come out, or around that time. I can't exactly recall. I think it was around 2014. And he goes to a different university. So here he is speaking for the university, the only real spokesman of the university, saying that, Nut participated in, of course, Black Studies because it's, she's against racism. Very, very, very intentional. And he considers himself a hero. I've looked at his Facebook. He considers himself a hero, and that he's fighting for a cause by publishing his testimonials. Not money, not lying through his teeth, just that he's a hero and there's causes there.
I just want to point out that Northwestern University and Boston University have posted and advertised Harvey Young's relations with Nut, which are fraudulent. And so their two universities are in on this as well.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Now, when you look up Harvey Young, his CV has obviously changed, and it goes with his testimonial of being there in 2003 and studying. And he said that he started in Northwestern in 2002 doing a dissertation and being a lecturer. So think of that what you will.
A lecturer, but also studying and doing a dissertation.
But this is how I know he's lying about that situation and that event. I've looked at some records at Northwestern University,
And I found that Harvey wasn't listed as faculty until the years 2005 to 2007 in the undergraduate catalogue. And he was only a professor in theatre, not in performance studies. So that would have been at the time for the performance studies, that would have been Professor E. Patrick Johnson, I think who's now the dean or perhaps the chair of communications, actually. So he's, I think he's leading or head. By the way, he's an assistant professor in 2005 to 2007. So that's his just initial role as a professor at the university. So he's just starting out 2005 to 2007. So not while Nutt was supposedly studying there. In the whole communications section of Northwestern. And yeah, it wasn't Harvey Young. And two, there was no session elective for Black performance studies. The only elective in performance studies that was about African American studies of any kind was about African American or Black literature. So, and that was from 2001 up until I looked, which was 2007. That was the only elective you could find under performance studies in that area. So that cancels out the university credibility of not being there, studying, being amazing, being a humanitarian and politically inclined and aspirational and just an amazing human being, and Harvey's hero antics. So, let's move on. Let's not stop there. Depending on who says, including Lacey. All right, so this is about the Argentina, so we've moved on from there. I'm going to now go on Twitter and show you some posts regarding Nutt's high school. So I know that I think in the new Royal Griff's video, she said that there's no proof to suggest that Nutt didn't graduate in 1999 at IHHS, which is not true. It's fraudulent and it's been fabricated, and I can prove that to you. So in this picture, that is the one that's been put up by IHHS. In the picture is a picture here, right there, with the chick with the bigger chick with the afro in the middle, of Michelle Fanara. And Michelle Fanara was a girl, I don't know if you remember, but she had a letter from Nutt when she was in high school. She said that she was being bullied. I think then it changed to her aunt dying. It changed to her being shy. It just depended on which narrative was given. But that basically, because Michelle looks the way she looks, let's be honest, this is the whole narrative of it. Because she looks the way she looks, Nutt helped her out, took her under her wing and showed leadership by sending her letters, which are really creepy, and make no sense at all. Why would you be sending letters? I know when she's angry, she sends letters, but why would you be sending letters to someone you don't know? Really, really weird shit. But you understand, if you find out the backdrop behind it, you understand. So this letter was meant to be given, in that senior retreat at IHHS, and Knudsen, which is the woman, I think she is a theology principal at IHHS. She was meant to be the person conducting these leadership camps that Nutt wrote this letter to Fanara with. Now, let me show you what the camp was about. So Immaculate Heart, there's a post here 2nd of March 2018. This is what the retreat or the camp is about, to give you some context. A group of seniors will be departing for the traditional Kairos retreat that was created by Knudsen in the 1990s. Over the course of the 4-day retreat, these students, along with faculty and alumni, will step outside of the regular flow of life and take time to thoughtfully reflect on what they've been through, who they are, and how they want to continue to grow. As all those who have attended Kairos know, a cornerstone of the deeply moving retreat experience is receiving and reading letters of love and affirmation from family, friends, and mentors. If you know anyone attending the letters written, which may have been an amalgamation of different people, but the mentors are the alumni. Let me read here. This is from their website. Here. At the senior level, the Kairos retreat is offered in both the fall and spring semesters. During this 4-day overnight experience, which is also led by a student team, seniors gain an understanding of how much they are loved and valued, and how important both family and friends are to their spiritual life. Designed to help each young woman find her own personal relationship with God, and really, in brackets, to push them out into the world as they're graduating from high school. Kairos provides seniors with time for discernment and discovery of self, and is also a powerful bonding experience for the class. Okay, so let me go back. This video explicitly stated that Finara was younger than Nut, meaning Nut was not a part of the 1999 graduating class, but that she was an alumni who came in to write her a letter of love and affirmation. And you can see in the photos, I'm sure I have photos here in the post I haven't seen yet, but you will see that Nut's around a circle of mentors of the alumni that have come in to write these letters.
Christine Knudsen. They give you these wonderful other ways. Christine Knudsen taught Markle, class of 99.
You thought Meghan Markle was special enough. You recommended her for something.
We have a senior retreat twice a year. It's basically run by a group of their peers, the seniors' peers.
It's called Kairos. It signifies
You've come through your own experience enough so that you can step back and be there for the other students.
Knudsen shared a letter of inspiration Markle wrote to a younger student.
Never stop sharing your beautiful spirit, and always remember how special you are. But just the fact that she took the time to handwrite this letter meant so much to this girl.
Active in high school theater. That's her there. Markle was an actress.
Yeah, what a joke, man. So you saw in that photo
other ways.
So she just told you that basically Nut was the alumni coming in to be peer support for the graduating class, the younger Michelle Finara. So then if you go back to this class of 1999, and that Michelle Finara was graduating in 1999, it's not possible that Nut graduated in 1999, is it? Show you more of this narrative played out.
From one of the students who was in her group. This student was very shy. She was very unsure of herself. She was kind of a bit of a loner. And Megan wrote her the most wonderful, loving note, even though Megan was not her close friend at all. So I'd just like to read it.
So she's now saying that they were just friends in the same class, and that she wrote her a letter just to say that, to be supportive of this loner, an absolute loser of a fat Afro girl that was really shy and antisocial. So woke and disgusting. And Michelle Finara has gone for it as well. It's oh, it's abysmal.
Read it because this gives you a sense of this is the real Megan.
The real
So
Megan.
It goes, Dear Michelle,
Righto.
you are so strong and so wonderful. Your courage in strength in times of hardships is as admirable as your optimism and friendly nature. I am so lucky to have you in my group and to be able to lead you on this adventure.
So Michelle's in her group. So she's, as the alumni and mentor, she's got her own group of students. And she's one of them. So she has to write the letter to her. And now she's saying, I'm so privileged to be your leader for the group. But yeah.
Never stop sharing your beautiful spirit and always remember how special you are. I am here if you ever need me. I love you, Megan.
Mental that that this woman and this school now has a copy of that letter, hey? Here's another post of during the day retreat during her senior year. Knudsen taught theology. So basically she's saying now they've changed it. If you can see here, they're saying that a natural leader was a natural as a leader at the school's annual 4-day retreat during her senior year. So during Nut's senior year, which is not true. Do you see? Ugh. And here's Michelle Finara. Narrative changed so no one can prove Nut's true age and that she graduated earlier than 1999.
I am here if you ever need me. I love you, Megan.
It's Meghan Markle's loving handwritten letter to a former classmate found after 20 years.
Never stop sharing your
miraculous.
beautiful spirit and always remember how special you are.
Michelle Finara is speaking out for the first time about the letter she found tucked
Purely coincidental.
away in her high school yearbook. It was penned by Meghan Markle in her now famous signature calligraphy.
To have somebody reach out that's not in your circle of friends, to reach out to you and say, hey, if you ever need anything, I am here for you.
Girl, she was literally, it was her job to write you a fucking letter. Jesus Christ. Stop with the narrative.
That is pretty special.
Michelle went to the all-girls Immaculate Heart High School in Hollywood with Meghan. During her senior year, Michelle was shy and heartbroken over the loss of her great aunt, and that's when the future American princess took the time to write this caring letter.
I wanted to retreat into my own shell, and Megan was like, no, you can't do that.
Wow, so she's even now going with a new narrative. See how they've taken out the retreat? Just so you don't question the narrative, you don't question the retreat, that it's to do with the alumni and that she was alumni in 1999 and not graduating.
She just kept pulling me out of my shell a little bit.
While watching Meghan's royal wedding, Michelle suddenly remembered she still had that letter written so long ago.
She did.
I went looking
Of course.
like, oh yeah, I do. I still have it. It's in my senior yearbook.
Michelle also stumbled upon this sweet message written by Meghan in another yearbook. I can already tell you're a great person. I can't wait to see you next year. Love, Meghan. Today, Michelle is a black belt in karate and owns her own studio. She has this message for Duchess Meghan.
You reaching out to me made all the difference in my world.
Michelle is a black belt in karate in another year long ago.
She just kept pulling me out of my shell a little bit.
While watching Meghan's royal wedding, Michelle suddenly remembered she still had that letter written so long ago.
I went looking like,
Oh, yeah, I do. I still have it. It's in my senior yearbook.
Michelle also stumbled upon this sweet message written by Megan in another yearbook. I can already tell you're a great person. I can't wait to see you next year. Love, Megan. Today, Michelle is a black belt in karate and owns her own studio. She has this message for Duchess Megan.
You reaching out to me made all the difference in my world.
So that other message, she's literally saying, I can't wait to see you next year at the retreat, because obviously Nut's graduating that year, which would be I'm guessing 1998. The issue with that is, how would Nut know that she was going to be in the alumni for the retreat? How would she be aware of that? It's obviously staged. So Inside Edition, by the way, the same one who launched the soap dish commercial. I think that's it. There's also these photos that, may be real, may not be. These photos that have been posted by all these individuals and by tabloids. All these kids in these photos graduated in 1998. So this was meant to be a program, a school program, I think under the government or something like that. Close Up alumni, Close Up DC alumni. This guy with the crap hair, I've already said before, he graduated in 1998. Simone Dilly graduated in 1998. Giancarlo Baccardo, hopefully I'm pronouncing it right now, he graduated in 1998. And this Gina Jones only, I think she taught at the high school from 1997 to 1998. Nat said that she learned French somewhere between 6 to 8 years, I think. So you can see in this. Oh, she studied French for 8 years.
And now it's deplorable. I can't remember anything, which is just... I really wanted to relearn French. I had studied it for the 4 years in high school, and then it just went away. Studied French for
4 years in high school, 8 years. But her teacher, who actually taught her whichever language it was, because Beverly Shields was the language teacher at IHHS, she said she taught her for 5 years from 8th grade through to graduation. The only two real teachers that came forward in footage initially, when this all started, were Maria Pollia, who started teaching at IHHS in 1997, and Knudsen, and they're both theology teachers. So how can that be that both of them were teaching her at the same time? Knudsen as well, depending on the day, was her headmistress, senior elective teacher, and homeroom teacher. So let's have a look here. Former headmistress Christine Knudsen. Former homeroom student. Who only taught one of her senior elective classes. Theology is not, at a Catholic school, is not an elective. So what would she be teaching her? Theology chair. so many fabrications in the college, in the high school, in the elementary school stories that it's really just overwhelming. And I just this is what I'm trying to point out to you. So this is probably my last post about all this stuff. I'm sure there's more, but there's just so much to look for and to find. So let's have a look here. IHHS have gone with the story. She graduated in 1999, even placed her photo in the 1999 frame. But in this video, they say she was only there from the 7th grade to the 12th grade. Where was she for the 6th grade?
Spent 7th through 12th grade here.
We learn how to be like proper.
Factory. Markle spent 7th through 12th grade here.
We learn how to be like proper and we like have good manners.
Factory. Markle spent 7th through 12th grade here.
We learn how to be like proper and we like have.
Yeah, lies. Just lies.